Did you know that tens of millions of American students need digital permission just to go to the toilet?
This 3 up here means you've already had 3 passes today, and the teacher knows that as well. I may disapprove your pass.
Students are developing bladder infections because they're too scared to ask, one student wrote. As a female-bodied person, I'm more at risk of developing urinary tract infections, and I find myself beginning to develop them more often than I can count. And believe it or not, it gets worse. Yep, male teachers are using the data to track when female students are on their periods. This is happening right now in 2026 in America. When I was at school in England, if you needed the toilet, you asked and you went. There was no form, there was no app. Your teacher looked at you, decided you probably weren't lying about needing a wee, and let you go. The entire system ran on a radical piece of technology called trust. So imagine my genuine bewilderment when I discovered that thousands of American schools are now using apps, actual software products with AI dashboards and analytical suites to track every single time a child goes to the toilet.
So if, for instance, this test student wanted to go to the boys' bathroom, they hit submit, and they see this red screen starts counting how much time they've been waiting. It will only let you wait for a pass for 5 minutes and then it just goes away.
Apps like EHallPass, SmartPass, and SecurelyPass have turned the humble bathroom break into a surveillance event, where it gets logged, it gets stored on a server, and it then gets kept indefinitely. And I think that's just wrong. Hit that subscribe button for more deep dives into EdTech tools. Thank you. Back to the video. And when I spent some time teaching English as a foreign language abroad, I carried my same philosophy into the classroom. If a student needed the loo, they went. I didn't track how long they took. I didn't log it on a server. I didn't get a notification on my laptop telling me that Fatima had exceeded her optimal bathroom window by 90 seconds.
And you hit submit, I get that little ding on my screen, and now I have the ability to approve or cancel that.
I just let them go, you know, like a normal person. And do you know what happened? They came back every single time, because it turns out when you treat young people like human beings, they tend to act like human beings. Orwell wrote in 1984 that nothing was your own except the few cubic centimeters inside your own skull. Turns out even that was optimistic. Now they want data on what comes out the other end as well. Now, let's be specific about what these apps exactly do, because of course the details matter. They require students to submit a digital request every time they want to leave the classroom, even just to use the toilet. The teacher approves it or denies it on screen. The app logs your name, where you're going, what time you left, what time you got back, how long you took.
When you get back from the bathroom, the teacher will hit end/keep, and your pass will say that you are gone to the bathroom for 24 seconds, and that was your 4th pass already today.
All of it stored on servers run by, you guessed it, private for-profit companies. Yay! SmartPass even uses something called AI encounter detection to flag students who happen to have passes to similar locations at similar times. 2 kids going to the toilet at once? For these apps, that's suspicious. Therefore, it's worth flagging, therefore, it's worth storing. Smash that like button if your school has either EHallPass, SmartPass, or SecurelyPass. And you absolutely hate them. Vendors boast about their real-time visibility dashboards showing who is out of class, where they are going, and how long they have been away. One parent who sued his school district described it perfectly. This is not simply a digitized system of a paper pass. It's a behavioral monitoring system that stores details of human movements and uses those to identify perceived psychological patterns. This is just insane. They're alleging a behavioral monitoring system for going to the toilet for children. Dude, teachers have gone too far. And look, that's what really bothers me about all of this. On a way that goes way beyond privacy policy and data protection laws. We've somehow decided that kids going to the toilet is worth surveying. We should probably quantify it. You know what? We need to store that in a database. For me, that's just wrong. Like, you don't need a degree in ethics to see that. Going to the bathroom is one of the most basic, private, undignified parts of being a human being. We do it, but would rather not discuss it. And the entire social contract around toilets, in offices, in restaurants, in literally every other context of adult life, is that we extend each other the courtesy of pretending it doesn't happen. Nobody tracks how long you spend in the Tesco toilets. Your boss doesn't get a push notification because you've been in the work loop for 7 minutes. Thank God. We treat bathroom use as private because it is, well, private. Because dignity demands it. Unless you're a child in an American school. Then your bathroom use is data. Then it's a pattern to be analysed. As George Orwell wrote, Big Brother is watching you. He must have forgot to mention that Big Brother would be particularly interested in how long you spend on the toilet. Look, I could sit here and make theoretical arguments all day, but the students themselves say it better than I ever could. One told their student newspaper, "You feel like you're an inmate trying to make a phone call. You have a time limit, and that doesn't really help." Another said, "The school really has us on lock. Sounds a lot like being on parole." A Reddit user, cited by Newsweek, wrote, "You can't prevent someone from using the bathroom. They wouldn't even do that if you were in jail." These apps, they're also built to deny. EHall's own documentation says this. A teacher sees the pop-up. They can click deny if they are teaching something important. You receive a notification that says denied. There's even a drop-down menu of reasons. Students asking too frequently. Pass limits reached for the day. So, schools can set a maximum number of bathroom requests per day, and once you've used them up, the system automatically blocks any new requests. You've hit your toilet quota. Tough luck.
It's highly unlikely that another teacher is going to give you a pass if they see that you've already had 4 passes today.
And it's pretty disgusting that companies are actually celebrating this. A teacher testimonial on SmartPass's own website says, "Kids have been more timely in their bathroom trips and ask less often." Another teacher said students ask to use the restroom a little less frequently. They're marketing the fact that children are using the bathroom less as a success story. The kids who stopped asking probably aren't the ones who are messing about. Those kids, we know the type, they'll always find a way. The ones who stopped asking are probably the quiet ones, the anxious ones, the one with the bladder condition that feels embarrassed. Those are the students who the system is silencing. The fact that these students are using language like jail, parole, inmates, it says a lot about how this newfangled system is making them feel. When I was teaching English as a foreign language abroad, the worst thing a student ever compared me to was Mr. Bean. These kids, on the other hand, are reaching for prison metaphors. That should honestly alarm every single adult involved. One student described the practical reality. "I had to use the bathroom, but I had to fill out an EHallPass. When I got done filling it out, I had to wait for my teacher to accept it, and when she did, I was in the clear to go. But at that time, I practically ran to the bathroom because I had to go so bad." A sophomore at another school said the system makes them not want to use the bathroom anymore. A cross-country runner said, "If I drank a lot of water that day, you can't go. It's messed up." So students are literally dehydrating themselves to avoid this surveillance. They're planning their water intake around an app's quotas. Some of them are holding it in, some of them are risking infection, all because the alternative is having their bathroom habits logged and picked apart. One student wrote that passes teach students that having basic needs can be stripped away and cause them to suffer for mistakes that they have not made. That's all really sad and valid, but here's the thing that surprises me most. Where is the outrage? I've shared a handful of quotes of students who felt angry about this, and good on them. But what about the other 99%? I'd like to think that if this had been happening when I was at school, I'd have been starting petitions, organising walkouts, making a proper nuisance of myself. I mean, yeah, realistically, I was probably too busy doing something useless, but that's not the point. I would have definitely been angry. I would have been furious. And I don't understand why more students aren't, apart from the fact that maybe it's to do with the normalization of surveillance in general, which, when you think about it, is even more concerning. And it gets worse when you think about what this data reveals about female students. I'm a bloke, so I'm not going to give too much detail about this particular issue, but I do want to read out a couple of things that students have said ahead because I do think their experiences are genuinely worth hearing. One student on Reddit put it plainly: "As someone who drinks a lot of water and also gets a period, I usually make more than 3 trips to the bathroom every day. They claim it's to stop wandering, but it's all really stupid." At one charter school in Texas, students on their periods were given special color-coded purple passes for extra bathroom access. A male teacher reportedly asked a student, "Really? You're using that again? Didn't you just have your cycle?" If you sat down and specifically designed a system to humiliate teenage girls, you'd struggle to do better than this. Which raises an obvious question: who actually has access to all of this data? Because, of course, it's worse than you think. When one Oregon father investigated his daughter's school, he discovered that 154 staff members had access to her HallPass data, including office assistants, nurses from other schools, and staff who had no direct relationship with his daughter whatsoever. Yep, it's a free-for-all. Records stored indefinitely, no purge mechanism. Schools were using the data to identify top users, and then referring them to counselors or behavior specialists, often before the parents were even told. He's now suing the district. And the data itself, it isn't even safe. Raptor Technologies, the company that owns SmartPass, used by over 5,300 school districts, left approximately 4 million records exposed in non-password protected cloud storage. Evacuation plans, student medical records, threat assessments, family court documents. All of it just sitting there unprotected on the internet. America, land of the free. And these children, they can't say no. In one Tennessee case, a student who refused to use the app faced detention for going to the bathroom without digital permission. So you need the app's blessing to go for a wee, and if you don't get it, you're in trouble. As one civil liberties advocate asked, why are they trading in their students' privacy for a dubious at best marketing claim of safety? It's a fair question, especially coming from a country that calls itself the land of the free. And anyway, I'm British. I'm not going to pretend that my country is some paradise of personal liberty. Yep, they're even trying to ban VPNs in the UK, because of course they are. So please bear in mind I say this in full awareness of my own glass house. But America built its very national identity on the idea that the government doesn't get to monitor your private life without a very bloody good reason. And yet, American children, who, as one student pointed out, are old enough to vote, to enlist in the military, to get our driver's licenses. Those same children can't go to the toilet without digital permission. EHallPass operates on the same principle as Amazon's warehouse monitoring, which tracks how long employees spend in the toilet and has been widely condemned as dehumanizing. The difference is that Amazon workers are adults who can quit. The people using these digital apps are children. They can't just hand in their notice and go and work somewhere else that doesn't time their digital bathroom breaks. The ACLU described the situation as a digital dystopia. As this student columnist said, schools are supposed to be about fostering a positive learning environment, not about tracking where students are and are not supposed to be at that exact minute. When I was at school, honestly, none of this existed. We didn't even have hall passes, let alone digital ones. Students were, believe it or not, trusted to manage their own bodies. And somehow, miraculously, civilization survived. The school didn't descend into absolute chaos. Yep, nobody died because a 14-year-old went to the toilet without filling in a digital form first. And actually, I'm going to tell you exactly what I used to do when I was at school. Sometimes I'd go to the toilet, shut the door, and just sit there for a minute. I didn't need the loo. I just needed to be alone. School is relentless. The cafeteria is chaos. Even the library is a war zone. And there is literally nowhere in the entire building where you can have 2 minutes of quiet with your own thoughts. The toilet cubicle? That was it. That was your last private space. And I don't think I'm particularly unusual in that. I think that millions of kids have probably done the exact same thing. Take a few minutes away from the noise, gather yourself, and then, and only then, go back to class. These apps have taken that away, and kids now have nowhere. And yes, I'll be honest, when I was at school, some kids did abuse the system, or lack of it. Some kids hid in the toilets to dodge a test, but they always got caught, because if a student is is missing for 40 minutes, the teachers notice it. Teachers have always noticed. You remember that saying about having eyes in the back of your head? For teachers, it's literally true. You don't need a multi-million-dollar surveillance app to solve that problem. A human being with functioning eyesight solves it just fine. So why do they need the app? Because maybe it was never about catching the kid who skipped the maths test. Maybe, just maybe, it was about control. This whole digital system treats young people like they have no autonomy. And that's just sad. That's what keeps me up at night about all of this. Every school policy teaches something, whether it means to or not. A school that trusts students to go to the bathroom teaches them that they can be trusted, that the adults around them believe that they can manage basic self-management. And that's a powerful message for a young person to receive. On the other hand, a school that tracks bathroom breaks teaches kids the opposite. It teaches them that privacy is something that can be taken away, that every bloody movement you make is potentially suspicious. One student described it as a social experiment every time they need to use the restroom. Another called it collective punishment. We are all being controlled because of the bad decisions of only a few students. And a third asked a question that I think every administrator should have to answer in writing. How would you like it if your breaks were monitored throughout the day by a machine? I know how I'd answer that. I'd say absolutely not. I'd say it was degrading, you know, an absolute insult to my dignity. And then I might ask why they think students deserve less. When I was teaching abroad, I trusted my students to go to the bathroom and come back. The vast majority of them did. The ones who took a bit longer, they were probably having a bad day, or they were dealing with something that was entirely their own business. And that was fine. Yep, honestly, I was very relaxed about the whole situation. But, and I'll be honest with you, other teachers weren't. Every school has them. The ones who time you to the minute. The ones who make you justify why you needed to go. And those are the exact type of teachers who are absolutely loving this new app. Apps like EHallPass have given the worst teachers a brand new weapon. It's taken that petty, controlling instinct that used to be limited to one classroom and scaled it across an entire school, backed by data and dashboards and our old friend AI. Dude, that should terrify you. Orwell also wrote, if you want a picture of the future, imagine a boot stamping on the human face forever. George Orwell was talking about totalitarianism. But in America in 2026, the boot is an app and it stamps every time the kid needs to use the toilet, as one student put it. If they can't even trust students to go to the toilet, how could students be able to trust them? That's a question that deserves an answer, and I haven't heard a good one yet. Which EdTech tool would you like me guys to cover next? Please let me know in that comment section below. Thank you so much for watching my video. Smash that like button so I know that you made it to the end. You legend. Snipe, snap, out.